So I'm going to open this video today by talking about Victoria 3 or Vicky 3 if you like me, are obsessed with playing Paradox games. In Victoria 3, especially when it comes to America, once you have settled the West, once you have done the Civil War, playing America can get quite boring. And very quickly, like many people, you start to look at, well, what else I can do? Maybe you take the historical path. You go take, Cuba and the Philippines from Spain. It's not a bad thing to do in game wise. You take those countries. That's quite a lot of good resources that you need in your game to be able to do that. However, let's say your thirst for conquest is not, so we say, fully satisfied. You can take Canada. Like, Canada is not a bad move to go and take. Because again, economically, it's got a lot of resources that the US will want. It's got a nice big sort of population chunk that you can very easily absorb into your country. It's not a bad opening move, and it makes you very, very strong. Very, very strong indeed. And if you want to go even further, how you take this, how you take like an aggressive USA game, you then go and you puppet Mexico, you build in their states, you again go for all extracting all the national resources, building factories. Thanks to the new spheres of power now you can have now these groups, you build an economic one, you then go and puppet Colombia, Venezuela. At that point, if you wanted to, you could pretty much just puppet all the rest of the Americas. And at that point, you're pretty much unstoppable, especially later on in the game where, you very quickly realize you very, very much do need oil. And who has the most oil at that point? If you've got all of America, Venezuela under your control, and you've, really developed the oil infrastructure in that country, you're pretty much just unstoppable. You can build all the guns, tanks, ships you need to basically dominate. You are basically at that point unstoppable. You can do whatever the hell you want, and that's how you play an aggressive USA game. However, we now actually have to look at the political realities, because this Donald Trump has been saying a lot of stuff that basically make him very, very much an imperialist. He has said time and time again he wants to take territory. He wants to take, Canada, the 51st state. He wants to take Greenland. He wants to take the Panama Canal. He wants to take, the Gaza Strip, even though he has walked back on that very, very much so recently. I think it was basically a Trump say whatever and see what happens. But like I say, many in the White House have then, they've now started drastically walking that back, which is good. Don't get me wrong on that. That is very good, because it was very, very worrying to hear when Trump said that. But the fact that this has been walked back is kind of good. However, of course, Denmark is still extremely worried about, will Trump take Greenland? And of course, recently, Justin Trudeau was caught on a hot mic talking about how Trump or how serious Trump was about making Canada the 51st state. And turned out, according to Justin Trudeau, Trump is very, very serious about making Canada the 51st state. So we have to openly worry about Donald Trump's imperial ambitions. This is now a proper Vicky 3 game at this point. Donald Trump is, again, one of the most powerful men in the world. He's one of the most in control of the most powerful military in the world. How seriously should we take him is certainly a question. I think you are seeing places like Denmark and Canada, especially if you go listen to that hot mic. Yeah, Canada is very concerned about that. Very concerned indeed. So let's go into this and talk more about this, because this is a genuine, serious question. Like, how serious should we take his imperial ambitions? So before we go more into this, like I say, please do click on the like, the share button. Down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the more donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as always, there is the pony club down below as well. Yeah. So on into this. How serious? I think that's the main question now. That's the thrust. How seriously should we take this? And as I just said, most powerful man on the planet, in charge of the most powerful, military on the planet. I think we should be taking this very seriously. But let's game this out. Let's say Putin had said this. Like, let's say Putin had said that he wants to take the Baltic states, he wants to take Poland, he wants to take Finland, Ukraine, and really rebuild, imperialist Russia. He wants to reestablish Russia's old imperialist borders. That's like right up to the border of modern day Germany. You would see without a doubt the UN Security Council would convene almost immediately. Like, they would convene, they would condemn these comments, and not only that, you would probably see defense budgets, certainly across Europe, but even certainly in America, rise. Like, you would see the Pentagon budget double at that point, because we have every reason to suspect, when you're talking about Vladimir Putin, when he says he's going to, do things like this, then in the case of Ukraine, yeah, he went and did it, and this is why all those sort of countries that have, a border with Russia are very worried, because at some point or another, Putin has expressed about taking territory. We've mentioned about, I can't remember what the city literally on the border with, with Russia and Estonia. Putin has said that city is Russian. Like, what if it happens is he just goes in and takes that city, not for the rest of the country, but just takes that city, and tests NATO. Are you going to, respond on that? And I think there is always this idea, because I've talked about it before, about Donald Trump's negotiating strategy. Is this, as we've said before, like Donald Trump's most extreme position, like, I want this, I want you to become the 51st state, but actually his real position is like down here somewhere. So, you manage to talk, Trump down from that really extreme position, but you've met his secret, well, quote, secret demand that he wants. He wants, I don't know, more concessions on something. And you saw with the tariff stuff very recently, those, quote, two big wins. Well, there's already about 15,000 troops on the border anyway. Mexico ain't going to be increasing its troop numbers, because there's already plenty there for them to police that border. The deal he got with Canada had already been signed by Joe Biden. He just asked Canada to make it look like he was doing it, and he didn't really achieve anything. But still, these tariffs have a 30-day pause. At the end of this month, or the beginning of, March, is he going to enforce those tariffs? Is he going to do it? Because he enforced the tariffs with China, the 10% ones. Will he go through and enforce those tariffs on Canada and Mexico in the coming days, with the idea of trying to economically pressure Canada into becoming the 51st state, and using economic warfare to be able to do that? He might very well do that. We don't know. I keep on saying it. Trump is becoming very, very unpredictable. And that Gaza comment that you saw, oh yeah, we'll take over the Gaza Strip, to which everyone collectively around the world went, is he serious? But as we've seen, he's walked back those comments. But again, is he serious about walking back those comments, or did he do that to see what kind of reaction he would get, to see how far he could actually go? It's, again, very worrying. Very worrying. indeed. So let me know what you think about Trump's imperialist ambitions. Do you think he's really serious about all this stuff? Or, as I've said, is this just a negotiating tactic? Do you throw out the most extreme position when in reality what you want is like really here? So so you get negotiated down to the position you want. But it's again pretty extreme position. And of course, as what we said, what happens if someone says no? Take Denmark, for example. They have been very firm and said, Greenland is not for sale. At that point, they are saying no. What happens? And we still, of course, don't know. Bear in mind, this week we might get those EU tariffs. We don't know if they will happen. This week, next week, but apparently they're coming. We just don't know when. But again, is that a negotiating tactic from Trump by threatening tariffs that he somehow manages to get, again, some sort of concession from the EU? Remember, threatened tariffs, what you really want is here, so you get negotiated down. And, you take it as a win. Or is Trump so foolish that the EU can, quote, offer him something when actually they're offering him nothing? But Trump will spin it as a win. Who knows? Who knows? He has become so, unpredictable, so, impulsive and just saying stuff. It's just unpredictable. And the fact that he seems to have these imperial ambitions is kind of worrying. And like I say, if any other world leader were to express like these imperialist ambitions, you could bet that the Security Council would have a lot of things to say to that particular individual on that. But so far, they've been pretty quiet on that. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. And of course, as always, click the like and share button on your way out. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.